and welcome to our second Top Tip Tuesday for 2023. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Jodie Nevid. I'm the founder of The 7 Effect, the creator of the Freedom Academy, and essentially what I do is I specialise in helping women quit their job and turn what they love to do into a 6 or 7 figure business whilst creating a life that they're wildly in love with. So everything we do at The 7 Effect is very much focused around freedom. And I'm realising my camera, this is the dodgiest situation. You're not going to believe it. I've actually studying this year film school, and I've just made a big massive error. My camera is very wonky. So just ignore the sloping background behind me. And let's instead focus on the theme of the week. So each week I come to you live here on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. We can broadcast out into many different areas all at once, which is super cool. And I share with you some practical, real life tips that are working for the students inside the Freedom Academy for us right now. Now, if you are watching along, you can type in the chat and ask me questions. And I see we've got a couple of people with some little emoji cons here. I think if I click on them. Thank you for the love and thank you for the star face. Now, years ago, it's been a couple of years since I've done this. I used to do Top Tip Tuesday every week, and there used to be a link above you somewhere that you could click on, and it would show me who was actually commenting, and I could engage with you. My homework between this week and last week was to find out where that link has gone and how I can get you to show me who you are and I can ask your questions. But if you have questions as I'm going through our strategies for this week, please just pop your name in the front and then type the question, and I'm happy to ask them as we go along. If you're catching the replay, just put hashtag replay and you can put your questions in there, and me or one of my team will make sure that we get back to you. So from here on in, Top Tip Tuesday during school terms is a regular weekly thing, 5 p.m. Adelaide time, and we will have a theme each week. And this week's theme is, ta-da, simple success. So this came from one of last week's Top Tip Tuesday viewers when I asked questions, and they said, well, how do we know if we're overcomplicating things? What is the secret to keeping things simple and having success? And I thought, all right, great. Let me share with you 3 things that our students are doing right now, is in fact this last week, to get them on the path to success by doing less, not more, by simplifying, not by working harder. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a big fan of the lazy way, of finding a way to make things easier. I also really value taking complex things and making them simple. What I think some people do though, because of the way their brains are hardwired or when fear slips in and they get a bit funky, is they can take simple things and they can make them complex. Oh, this is great. So this, my friends, is how it should look. So we've got the beautiful Joyce Piper. Thank you, Joyce, for tuning in, because I'm sharing a little bit of a tip about some of the work we're doing together later on today. But yeah, I'd love to know, Joyce, if you can type in the comments, how did you get it to show us your photo? Or did you just put in the heart and it all worked? Sometimes people have their name and a picture. Other times it just says Facebook user, like that. So anyway, Joyce, feel free to type in the chat and let me know. And without further ado, let's get into tip number 1, which will help you achieve simple success. So where do we go? Number 1. So my first tip is something we do with all of our students in the Freedom Academy. This is the very first thing we do. Oh, newsflash, before I get into this, here's the link to click so Jodes can see who you are. I'm guessing this might be Marty. If it is, you should click the link, Marty, so we can see who you are. Or maybe you're some other amazing supporting elf that helps out with things, but Marty's usually pretty good like that. So there is a link there, folks, and I can see who you are. Let me close that down. And yeah, now it's going to let me get into the tip. So there's a link in the comments below. Click that and then I'll be able to see who you are and I can answer your questions directly. By the way, if you want to ever find Top Tip Tuesdays again and you think, oh, what was that tip she talked about? Our YouTube channel over on YouTube, The 7 Effect. If you're not subscribed, go find it and subscribe. We'll have these as a replay list so you can always catch them on demand as well. So tip number 1, focus on one primary goal. Now this is so important because what often happens when we are trying to build a business is we get caught up on all the things. And not only are we thinking about all the things that we have to do, we're then in our peripheral vision getting sidetracked by all the other things that people suggest that we could potentially do, and we haven't even thought about those things. And so before we know it, before we've even started moving towards success, we can have way too many ideas. And so I want to share with you a little bit of a story around this amazing woman. So this is Amy, and she is the founder of Aim to Thrive, and she does incredible work. In fact, Amy's just started up a TikTok channel. I recommend you find Aim to Thrive. Follow them on Instagram and TikTok and probably Facebook as well they are. She helps families who are living with a child with a disability, and she basically helps them create better learning environments and strategies to thrive as a human, as a learner, and just in everyday life. And so Amy came to the Freedom Academy this year with a multiple 6-figure business that's straight out the gates. It's a brand new business. She's got an incredible reputation. The work she does is amazing, so clients come to her from word of mouth. But she realised after being at Freedom Fest last year, Jodie, I'm just conditioned to work hard when really what I want is freedom and I'm not paying myself. And so she started to question, is it even possible? Can I achieve all these incredible things I want to achieve for my clients in my business as well as get paid well for myself? And so what we did is we created a strategic plan on a page which has multiple goals in it. But every one of those goals is linked back to Amy's primary goal. Now, Amy's primary goal is to pay herself. And so every month we are tracking how much she gets paid. Now, we're taking a woman who was on zero pay, the business is doing well, and she's just pumping it back into the business or paying her staff and sacrificing her own salary or sacrificing, not getting paid at all. And so what we did is we went, all right, Amy, we level in for February. At the end of February, guess what she got paid? Zilch. And so we have our coaching session. We put together her strategic plan on a page. And I said, all right, now that we've got everything out of your head, Amy, and on your strategic plan on a page, we want to link all of this to your one primary goal. And your primary goal is to pay yourself. Now, the thing that I love about the Freedom Academy is we have stages of income that we're tracking. So everyone starts at level 1, which is $0 to $99 of income. And so everyone pretty much levels in at 0 in February. Then they choose what they will track. Will it be their revenue? Will it be income from a new product that they want to launch? Will it be their pay, which is Amy's primary goal, to pay herself? Or will it be profit in their business? And so based on what's going on in their life and what stage of business that they're at, we choose that as the primary goal. And so if you are in a place where you're thinking, oh my God, I've got so much to do, I've got a list of 1,000,001 goals and I'm all over the place, let's link it all the way back to that one primary goal. And what I love about this, let me share my screen with you, and this is not to confuse you, but I just want to show you, this is the business plan that we made with Amy. Well, this isn't the actual plan, but this is a template. It's called an 80-20 plan on a page, and it's around 5 different pillars. Amy's vision and belief for her business, the products and services that she wants to sell, the clients and cash flow. This is like her ultimate financial goals and how many clients she needs to achieve those, the structure and operating systems that run the business, and then her community and contribution goals. And so what I love about the strategic plan is it's a template in Canva. If any of you are watching this and you are not part of Freedom Fest or the Freedom Academy where you get these tools, just write 80/20 plan in the comments and I'll be happy to share with you a link to this template. You can go through that process. And so what happened with Amy is we went through, we filled in her 80/20 plan, but then we went back to it and I said, right, Amy, now that we've got everything out of your head into one simple plan, we're going to go back to your one primary goal. And for the month of March, which is this month coming, I just want you to pay yourself something. So then we look at this book, which is Profit First, and we say, okay, Amy, all you need to do is set up a bank account that's separate to your business operational expenses account, according to the Profit First formula, and we're going to call it Profit. So ideally, all of the money goes into your bank account, and then you have an account where you park some money for tax, and then you have an account where you scoop off some money for profit, and we pay that first. So what we're doing is we're paying some money into a separate account for Amy. Now, for Amy to level up from level 1 into level 2 on the Freedom Academy board, all she needs to do is pay herself a minimum of $100. So I can't remember what number she set as her target, but basically before all the money's been depleted out of her business account for expenses, she's just going to pay herself somewhere between $100 and $1,000, and that's it for that month. Now, you might think, but hang on a minute, how's that going to help her make $10,000 a month as a salary of $120K a year? It's a starting point, and that's all we need to do for simple success. One primary goal, pay yourself, Amy. One step at a time, month by month, we're going to start scooping some money aside and tweaking some things in the business according to your strategic plan, so that pretty soon paying Amy is going to just be part of what happens by nature within her business. So let's simplify that big rant. Step number 1, I want you to set your primary goal for 2023 in your business. Is it to pay yourself? Is it to increase your revenue? Is it to launch a new product and make a particular amount of money from that? Or is it to generate a certain amount of profit out of your business? Whatever your primary goal is, you must attach a number to it. You can't just say, I want to pay myself really well. I want to pay myself a 6-figure salary, which is $10,000 a month by November 2023. So we always work with starting in February and then we track to November, and I've found that 10 months is a really good amount of time to be able to grow a solid 6-figure income. So that's tip number 1. Thank you very much, Amy, for being here and being our case study. Tip number 2 comes from an amazing woman called Joyce, who is actually watching live. Ta-da! Joyce. So if you haven't heard of Joyce before, she is the face yoga guru around Adelaide. Joyce has a program called Ageless Beauty Secrets. She also does the most deluxe and divine ageless beauty treatments and one-on-one facials and things that she can do with you, including, we were talking about this on her coaching session today, and Joyce, I've got to book in for one of these. It's a neo facial and it sounds incredible. I think it's like a sort of incredible facelift. Anyway, I'm doing Joyce's one-on-one program. It's a 6-week journey into ageless beauty secrets, and it includes all sorts of things from facial massage and lymphatic drainage to learning how to exercise the different muscles in your face so that you can tighten and tone them, because we've got muscles in our face just like we have in our body. if you've ever met Joyce, you will know that this stuff works because she's got the most beautiful, glowing, young-looking skin, but she's in her 60s and you'd never, ever know it. And so Joyce is like many women in business where she wants to give you everything for next to nothing. And she's really good at wanting to give all the things at once and feel like she needs to do more than she possibly can for her clients. And I found that a lot of women in business are like this. And so what we've done with Joyce is we've looked at, all right, rather than you try and get lots of individual clients or try and over-service and undercharge so that you're constantly working on volume, how can we package up all of the amazing things that Joyce is not just good at, but a true master in, and she has clients that she works with internationally, by the way, into this one high value offer. And so I wanted to draw out for you a bit of a matrix because this is an important thing to understand. And we've got Susan Cook. I will get you the 80-20 plan template after this. Marty, if you happen to be watching along, which you may or may not be, it's the link in Canva that's called template that I just showed before, if you can share it with Suzanne, otherwise, sorry, that's a Susan, not a Suzanne. Otherwise, I will get it to you. Bloody hell. Michelle Jules Parsons saying, is anyone else having lots of dropouts or is it just me? I'm going to assume that's just you, Michelle, because every time you get on a live, you say that. And Halima, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Halima, I would be absolutely delighted to share with you the 80-20 plan link as well, so you can create your own plan. So let's go over to my iPad, and I want to draw this out for you because this is the sort of thinking that I've applied to Joyce's business, and this is the sort of thinking that I want you all to apply to everything you do in your business. So if we imagine there's a bit of a matrix here, and down below we have reward, and over to the side we have effort. Now, what a lot of women are very good at doing is either putting in lots of effort that doesn't give them very big reward, or putting in lots of effort that can be rewarding, but it can also be exhausting. So let's go through the effort versus reward matrix. So this is actually from a book called 80-20 Your Life, or it's also featured in the 80-20 Way, Living the 80-20 Way. I think it's now called the 80-20 Your Life. Anyway, the author, let me write that down for you, is Richard Koch. And he's basically taken the Pareto principle and popularized it, made it super easy to understand. So let's look at it. Here in this bottom quadrant is what we can do that is very low effort, but is also very low reward. And this is where you might think, all right, I'm going to think about some ideas. You can think about stuff, you can procrastinate about stuff, you could even talk about your ideas, but you never actually implement them. It's pretty low effort to just think about stuff and talk about stuff and not ever do anything about it. And because it's so low effort, it's also low reward. So nothing really happens there, and we don't want to play in that space at all. And so the great thing about Joyce is she wasn't doing anything there. Or you could do this, which is also a no-go. You can put in lots of effort and realise that, oh my gosh, that's not actually getting me anywhere. So it could be selling cheap things. And we have a tool, you can find it for free on our website, the7effect.com, and it's called the Freedom Calculator. And what a lot of women do when they use the Freedom Calculator for the first time is they type in their $50 workshop or online course that they wanted to sell, and they realise that even if they sell 20 of them, they're really not making hardly any money. So it's very high effort to try and sell lots and lots of cheap things. And so they never really make the financial rewards, and their business kind of stays in this expensive hobby space. Now, Joyce has graduated from this space. I'm not sure if Joyce was ever hanging in that space completely. She probably would say she was. But when I started working with Joyce, she was more in this space. And this is the amber space here, where it can be good, but only short term. And this is where we're putting in more effort, but we are getting the rewards. And this is high value, one-to-one service. And so it can be a lot of effort to service people one-on-one for a long time because you kind of cap out on what you can charge. One of the things that I would say is never ever charge by the hour. But in some industries, I fully respect that it can be tricky to get away from that, and I'll talk about how you can do that. The other thing that could sit in this space for us is hosting events like Freedom Fest. It is high effort to put on a big ticket 3-day conference, but it is also very high reward. Anything you have in your business that is in this quadrant, you want to look at how we can move it into this quadrant, because ultimately your business should be operating from here. Now, right now, 90% of what Joyce does is in this space. So this is where Joyce's business lives. She gets incredible results. She's a really masterful practitioner. She's got some regular clients. But when we look at the numbers, we recognise that, you know what, selling these one-on-one treatments is going to be really high effort, even though it's incredibly high reward, but it's not easily scalable. How do we solve the problem? Well, we look at what's already working for Joyce in terms of her international clients. Now, Joyce does lymphatic drainage using a technique called gua sha on the face, and you have this beautiful sort of stone, mine's a rose quartz one, and you put some oil on your face, and then Joyce, I'm not explaining it anywhere near as well as you could, but then you rub it around and you move things around on your face, and it's very smoothing. You can literally iron out wrinkles. You just watch my face in the next 6 weeks. It's going to start glowing. I actually feel, Joyce, that it's already starting to get better. Anyway, I get sidetracked. So Joyce does work for clients internationally. So there are a couple of clients that she works with that run detox retreats, and their patients or their clients go through a detoxification process, and they have a one-on-one session with Joyce through a Zoom where Joyce teaches them how to do the gua sha and the lymphatic drainage through these facial treatments. And so that's a very powerful thing. And Joyce thought, well, do you know what? It works on Zoom. I teach them there. I could probably teach a small group. What if Joyce took all of her secrets around how to achieve ageless beauty and she packaged them up into what we call her HVO, or her high value offer? So rather than Joyce trying to do lots of different things, we want her to become famous for her high value offer, which is the Ageless Beauty Secrets program. Now, the beautiful thing about this is once that program becomes a renowned and famous thing where people go, oh my God, have you done Joyce's Ageless Beauty Secrets program yet? Joyce's private prices and the price that people will pay to go and see her privately all of a sudden start to go through the roof, and she starts to operate a business where she becomes fully booked with wait lists rather than having lots of people and thinking about all these different ideas and selling crap loads of cheap things and having to spend all her time working one-on-one in these services. Everything changes. So I hope that makes sense for you folks. Tip number 2 is all about finding your high value offer, the number one thing you can do, and become absolutely famous for it. That's it. Forget about that and move this into that strategically. Oops, streaming to LinkedIn stopped. Continue without that. Oh, sorry, I had a LinkedIn issue. All right, we've got our third and final tip, my friends. Thank you, Joyce, for being my example student there. And this one comes from a lady who was literally just in my office. Her name is Claudia. She is otherwise known as the Good Italian Girl. She's just off the back of a fringe season where she had 7 sell-out shows for the Fringe. That in itself deserves a massive... Claudia, you freaking legend. It's amazing. So Claudia is a classic case of wanting to do all of the things. And so she came into my office just now. We had a 2-hour one-on-one session, and she had a big, long list of all of her ideas. I don't know about you, but if you've ever been an ideas person, you think, well, I could do this and I could do that. And Claudia's kind of attached to them all. And so I get out the freedom calculator and I say, Claudia, look, I think that you could do all of these eventually, but you need to realise that most of them are marketing, not money makers. So in a couple of months, Claudia is going to launch National Juzza Day. So for those of you that don't know Claudia, her Good Italian Girl Fringe show is all about hilarious stories and cultural tales of growing up as a juzza in the 80s. And a juzza is what we used to call, I'm same sort of age as Claudia, or I think a little bit younger, but we're of the same era, a generation. A juzza is what we used to call the Italian and the Greek girls at school, and they had big hair and they loved 80s music, particularly Pat Benatar and all of that kind of cool stuff. And so her show's hilarious. She wants to launch National Juzza Day and have a bit of a fundraiser and a quiz night and raise money for Catherine House. She wants to do Juzzas on tour and take some of the Juzzas around on these epic bus day trips. And there's all these wonderful ideas that I think could sell, but they're based on volume. And if we go back to the example, it's a lot of selling cheap things. And so I spent some time with Claudia going, how do we do less of this and find the one thing that you can become famous for? Now, what Claudia really wants to be famous for is being a cultural storyteller and getting paid to do keynotes, which I love that idea. But the reality is she's in the Freedom Academy and I'm like, I just can't for certain say that I can be getting you fully booked as a keynote speaker at $5,000 a pop by November. We need to find another approach. And so what we've come up with is a business model that revolves around her teachings and her learnings of growing up as an Italian girl and finding the courage to step outside of that cultural box. It's like challenging the norms and not just accepting, but really igniting change and having the courage to chase your goals. Because after Claudia's Fringe shows, she was approached by so many women going, God, how do you find the courage to write a book, to stand on stage, to do 7 shows week after week, night after night during one Fringe season? And so she thought, you know what, I really want to teach women, particularly ethnic women, how to actually break past their comfort zone and their fears that keep them small and pursue their passions and live their dreams. And I thought, okay, great. So we can come up with a business model where there can be multiple ways that people can access your teachings. And this is really good for any of you, is if you've got something you want to teach, recognize that you don't need to invent 5, 10, 15 different products. You invent one and then you deliver it in multiple different ways. So Claudia loves to come up with names of there could be this event and that workshop and that masterclass and that 2-day intensive. And I'm like, no, Claudia, we're going to bring it all into the one key thing. And then you can deliver that one key thing as a 1-day workshop, a 2-day intensive, a 3-month private coaching program, or a 60-minute keynote. but it's the one thing. It's your teaching of how to step outside the cultural box. And so in that teaching, we also want to adapt it so that it has value in the corporate world, because many corporate organizations will pay to have cultural storytellers, elite athletes, famous people, experts, creators, artists, people who have things to teach about how to be innovative, how to be courageous, how to be empathetic, whatever the topic might be. But you don't have to be a subject matter expert to be able to go into that industry and teach something. What I said to Claudia is a lot of people in any organisation struggle with courage, they struggle with taking the lead, they struggle with adapting to change. So how can we take the lessons of the good Italian girl and put them into a curriculum or a model that could be taught in these different ways? And so it's not like Claudia has to come up with lots of different things. She just has to come up with her one philosophy, and then she can deliver that in multiple ways. A really good example of this that I always go back to is the fish philosophy. Now, I don't know if you were around in the 90s, was it the late 90s or the early 2000s, I reckon. There was a very popular book called Fish, or it was the Fish Philosophies. Basically, it was a very short, small little book, and it became a New York Times bestseller. And it was about lessons from a fish market on how to have a positive workplace culture. Now, the book went gangbusters. The author of the book turned those lessons into a one-day workshop. And then they turned those lessons into an ongoing coaching program for leaders. And then they licensed that content and turned it into a business model where people could pay to become a licensed fish philosopher and teach all of those things. Same principles, one thing, not doing lots of things, just doing the one thing, but delivering it in multiple different ways and scaling it up. So, in short, the 3 secrets, thank you very much, Claudia, for being here, to simple success are: number 1, focus on one primary goal. What do you want to do this year? And please, 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 ladies, link that primary goal to you making more money. Are you going to pay yourself? You're going to increase your revenue? You're going to launch a new product? Or are you going to pull out some profit from your business? Set a number and make everything you do in your strategic plan link back to that. Then go to your 80-20 matrix and look at everything you're doing. Is this low effort, low reward? Is this high effort, low reward? Is it high effort, high reward? And what do I need to do to make it low effort, high reward? Put it all together into one high value offer. And then my final tip is be like Claudia is learning to be. Do less, not more, and you'll find freedom so much easier. Thanks very much for tuning in. If you've got any questions or requests for next week's topic, post them below. Look at this. Joyce, please put your link for your Facebook page. My mum will be a customer for sure. Oh my God, Gary, your mum will love it. I am absolutely loving the work that I am doing with Joyce. And I'm only like 2 weeks in, and it's incredible. Thank you, Gary, Joyce. Lagging badly for me too, dropping out frequently. Oh, it's all lagging badly for some of you. Hopefully, it did pick up. I see we've still got quite a few people watching. Do you know what I think it might be? Is trying to stream out to LinkedIn as well. That can be a problem. So maybe next week I won't do LinkedIn at the same time, and we'll see if that's better. Thank you very much for tuning in. Marty, you are a legend. I see that you have got onto the 80-20 Canva template. I really appreciate having you on the team. We'll come up with a topic, and I will see you all next week. Oh, one more thing. Friday, our live masterclass. Make sure you've got your tickets to that. It's free. It's fantastic. I'm going to teach you how to build the world's simplest sales funnel in your business. It's my funnest training ever, because once you get this right, it is literally modeling what we did to have a 100K cash collected month whilst we went on holidays. You can do it too. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.